News to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. An early morning home invasion in Carson Field, Central Trinidad yesterday left his son and his dead and his father in critical condition. The Perez family of Connector Road, Carson Field, was the site of what the family describes as another targeted attack on farmers in the community. 27-year-old Christopher Christian was killed during the attack. His father, Matthew Perez Christian, 66, was also injured and remains in critical condition at the Eric Winners Medical Sciences Complex. Solid and based on data is how Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Fadi Augustine, described plans discussed at the National Security Council meeting led by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley in Tobago yesterday. He, however, wants to see talks related to the fight against crime in Tobago now move into action and make inroads into criminal activity. Additional police officers have been allocated to Tobago to help ensure law and order and address violent crime increasing on the island. This done through the Interagency Task Force, as well as the Guard and Emergency Branch now present in Tobago. Commissioner of Police Earl Howard Christopher explained some officers have also been exposed to training in areas including intelligence gathering and investigations. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said on Tuesday Tobago is not immune from the crime wave and violent crime being suffered by the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister was referencing Sunday's shooting incident at Black Rock, which claimed the lives of 4 men, pushing the murder toll on the island to 16, one more than recorded in 2023. Dr. Rowley said government is still interested in providing a second layer of policing to Tobago under the THA Act. He believes the move will help lessen the burden on national police. Health Minister Terence D'Arsing said his ministry will impose fines of up to $3,500 on people whose premises become breeding ground for mosquitoes. The decision follows the rise in dengue cases and related deaths. As of July 9th, TNT has 229 lab-confirmed cases and 2 fatalities, according to the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARFA, a rise from 126 on June 21st. D'Arsing said the dengue crisis is not limited to Trinidad and Tobago, but affecting the entire Latin America and Caribbean region. The Energy Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago welcomes the news of final investment decisions to be taken by Shell for the development of the Manatee Field. They said this was a significant development for TNT and will help create stability for the country's gas industry and, by extension, our energy services companies. In news of the region, Jamaica will contend with food shortages in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, which is estimated to have destroyed $6.4 million in the food crops and supporting infrastructure. Jamaica's Agriculture Minister Floyd Green said preliminary assessment indicates significant damage to crops, including vegetables, tubers, including yam and cassava, fruits, including breadfruit, ackee, mangoes, and bananas, which are popular sources on the island. And consumer goods company Dyson plans to cut up to one-third of its UK workforce as part of a global shakeup. The company said proposals will ensure it's prepared for the future amid what it described as increasingly fierce and competitive global market forces. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming up at 7 a.m.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Morning, neighbors. On this Hump Day Wednesday, it's the perfect day. It is the 10th day of July. Good morning to you, wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube, on Facebook. Of course, those watching us on METV. Thank you so much for joining us. You can send us a WhatsApp at 318-1021. All right, 27 degrees on both islands. And today is pretty much cut and paste what we saw yesterday. Going to be a scorcher again. We do have some Sahara dust in our atmosphere, so Definitely feeling that. Good morning to you, Dr. Paul Richards. Of course, Richard Ragoobarsingh, Wendell, Stephen, Ruben, and Shane is in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. Morning, Pablo.
Morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Paul. What's
Good
going on? What's going
Wednesday
on?
morning to you all. Good morning, Wendell.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and listeners all over the globe, especially those watching the first test match now at Lord's in London.
Oh, it started?
It just started.
Oh, we had to put it
West
on.
Indies is batting. It's on Flow. It's on Rush channel. One of those Rush channels. Rush Sports.
Yeah.
West Indies off to a good. Actually, I was impressed by Mikhail Louis, who is playing his first test match. I don't even know where he's from. Jaron Joseph will message me and let me know. But he started off the first over there with hitting 2 4s, on his debut. He looked good. I'm sorry I'm not in a position to watch the cricket while I'm doing this program because I'm going to be so nervous with West Indies batting,
Yeah. All right. I am seeing it here now. 11 for no wickets. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see who's on his hellos first thing this morning. Wendy and James, Oliverman, Warren, D. Pierre, Boy Bedesi. I'm still waiting. Maria Celia, Ewart Rajpal, Renu Halasi out in Delaware, Marcia Rockin, Orlando, Pearl Cordes, John Cato, Alistair Hart, Nikisha Pierre, Gloria Gray, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, Wayne Bennett in Covington, Georgia, Brenda Isaac out in Santa Cruz, CJ New York, Wayne Ramsey, Randy Kelly, Carol Guevara, Slick Money Grip, David Wares, and of course, Mrs. Wares. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Sherwin Kerr, good morning. On WhatsApp, we have Michael out in the UK. David Nelson, Captain Ron on his way to Atlanta. Val is saying he's from St. Kitts, Wendell.
Yes, I'm seeing that message, those messages from John Cato and Sherwin Kerr.
Yeah. Vincent out in Birmingham, UK. Good morning to you all. All right.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard of him before, but he looks solid. He's a tall young man, And when I saw the name Louis, I said, Louis, West Indies? I said, where did he come from? But he looks solid in the first over. So I hope he has an excellent debut, like a lot of other West Indians have had.
And of course, playing at Lord's as well.
It's Jimmy Anderson's last test match, his final test match. He's 41 years old. He started 21 years ago at the age of 20. And he has 700 wickets. I always like Jimmy Anderson. I hope he is not successful today, though. Today is the one day I don't want him to be successful. But me, I love cricket. My dream is to watch a test match in England. I've seen a one-day match. I've gone to a one-day match at Manchester, Old Trafford, to watch West Indies versus New Zealand. But I want to see a test match, 5 days of a test match. That's one on my bucket list. Sit in London, on a ground in England and watch 5 days of a test match.
I can't watch cricket for 5 days anymore.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. It's
like watching grass grow.
Yeah, Anyway, let me see if I get my birthdays out of the way quickly, guys. Today is July 10th, is it?
Yes.
It's July 10th. Right. So let me get my birthdays out of the way so we could move on. Yesterday was the Mighty Sparrow's birthday. I don't know if you all remember it.
Yes.
I didn't get to hear you all at all yesterday. Today is Alicia Hospitalis, former member of Parliament for Aruka Maloney. Michael Haynes, Carleen Granger. Hey, happy birthday, Carleen. And Rosemary Smith. Roger Walcott is celebrating his birthday today also, too. So happy birthday to you all celebrating birthdays today. All right? That's it.
I see somebody is burning something by the flyover getting to Port of Spain. I'm seeing black smoke since I left Barataria.
Must be tires.
I don't know. It's black.
Tires normally generate black smoke. Yeah. But I have B-Mobile. I want to tell you all goodbye, good riddance, because something is wrong with your system and something is wrong with how you do business, especially where you get your bills a month after they due and whatnot. I'm tired of you all. I've finally been convinced. I have finally been convinced to migrate to Digicel, and I'm about to do it. But yesterday, you all got me so upset.
Well, Digicel is the same thing, and I have a problem with Digicel. And every time I call them, they say somebody will call you in 24 to 48 hours. I was since Saturday. Nobody has called.
Yeah, well, it's like the cable providers, and they all one and the same. But I had enough of B-Mobile. You can't be cutting me so regularly, and I've paid my bill, and then apologizing, and I can't take it no more. I had enough. I had enough. So Digicel it is hopefully before the end of the week. Morning Shaka Subaru. You finally get through to me. What else is happening in the news? There was a triple shooting again. I think in Maloney. I got that video early this morning. I don't think that it resulted in any deaths, but 3 young men were shot. They didn't say what circumstances. They named them too, actually. I don't know if you all got that video as yet.
No.
Yeah, that came out very early this morning. It happened yesterday in Maloney Gardens.
I know, yes, these fellas. Anyhow.
Too many guns.
On the Pablo.
I listen to how you're talking cricket, or you know you talk cricket.
Paul, lower your volume down. Your mic is extremely loud.
Because I don't like cricket.
Yeah, but a lot of people that listeners love.
And that's fine, so shut up.
You have to load that down. You're distorted big time.
Not on my end.
You mean you have to reduce the volume?
Reduce your mic.
I don't know how to lower it down.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Is this better?
No, it sounds the same.
But I'm not hearing him this morning.
It's on your end, Steve. It's not on anybody's end but you.
I have no control. So Wendell is normal, on the normal threshold, and you're just banging away.
But he's normal on my end, but he's a banger. Isn't he a banger? He always boasts.
I don't know if he's a banger. Zena didn't call yesterday, Barrel death toll in the U.S. is now up to 12.
In the U.S.?
In the U.S.
As opposed to overall?
Yeah, well, apart from the 8 in the Caribbean.
So it's 8 plus 12?
Yeah. Barrel broke some records, and let me tell you the records it broke. Earliest forming Category 5 in recorded history, surpassing Emily in 2005. The strongest June hurricane by wind speed, surpassing Audrey in 1957. The strongest July hurricane by wind speed. The easternmost forming hurricane in the tropical Atlantic in June, surpassing the 1933 Trinidad hurricane, which took some lives. The highest ace generated by hurricane before August. It was also the only Atlantic hurricane to intensify from a tropical storm to Category 5 hurricane in under 48 hours before the month of September.
Okay. And why? What was that the first storm? Don't we normally start with A?
Yeah, we had an A. Chris is next. What was the A again?
Well, I heard you mention Audrey just now in 1930 something.
Yeah, that was then. This year A was what? Something else. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Death toll so far is 24.
Sorry?
Death toll for Barrel is 24.
Wow. I saw the images of Texas, and I actually have a friend who lives in Texas, and she sent some. She did a video and so on. It's Alberto Rena said.
Yes.
It looked really frightful because I mean I was in Houston not too long ago, and I saw the images of Houston, and I said, "Whoa." You know, I didn't think a place could get like that from a storm, no? But nature is something else. I saw a couple of people blaming storms on different on politicians. I said, and somebody had to say, you can't be serious. A storm, a natural phenomenon, you blaming it on politics. Some people really go to the extreme, yes.
Fanatics.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you all see the press conference in Tobago yesterday?
Yeah, Pablo, you have to do something here.
Steve, it is not me. It is on your end.
I have no control of the volumes from this end.
The volume is at its lowest, and if Wendell said he's not getting a distorted, listeners, can you tell us?
Yeah, Paul is coming across normal. How he normally comes across, Steve, from my end?
I'll let you call it. I already see what I had to say. I have no control over his
voice. If I put it down any lower, it will be off.
Well, Wendell, you'll be low because I can't keep moving up and down.
All right. Well, and people normally say they have difficulty hearing me sometimes.
I could always shut up. I could always just shut up.
I have to tell you,
Paul's volume is normal. Steve, it's on your end.
I'm not saying anything again. I'll leave it like that.
Yeah, but if everybody else is hearing me normally and you're saying I'm distorted, it's on your end.
And once again, Paul, I have no control.
And that's what I'm saying. There's nothing I can do about it because it is not from my end. That's what I'm saying. So telling me it is not going to help because I can't fix it on my end. It's on your end. It's as simple as that. Anyway, did you see the press conference?
The listeners are hearing it normally.
Did you see the press conference, Wendell? Let's move on.
Yeah, Paul, I'll have to tell you something. I started to look at it, and then when the Philip Alexander part came in, I said, I am watching no more.
I'm talking about the press conference from Tobago yesterday, not that.
I looked at parts of that. It was interesting. That's all I would say. And we had we had mentioned a while back that the Commissioner of Police needs to get someone to really sit with her and train her in speaking and communicating. And it doesn't seem that she's taking that advice at all.
Let me share the Commissioner's presentation yesterday. Thank you, Robert Harper, and everybody's teacher and everybody else, because I don't know what to tell Steve Khan again.
Once the listeners are hearing it normal, I don't think anything else matters.
Thank you. And there's nothing I can do, something on his technical end.
Yeah.
An unprecedented increase in violent crime on the island of Tobago. But it has not gone unnoticed. Proactively, what I would have done as commissioner, I would have deployed additional resources of the JV and the IATF, and that was to create and to facilitate a frontal approach against the criminal elements. Additionally, as of yesterday, I would have sent another group of officers to provide training to the frontline officers. Additionally, we will increase our intelligence focus on the island of Tobago. We will provide training and to develop the capacity of the officers in terms of intelligence gathering and investigations. And Prime Minister and members of the viewing and the national community, we still implore that we get the engagement of the public to assist with the human intelligence. We cannot do it alone. We will increase our technological capabilities with the use of the CCTV cameras, and we'll also seek to increase the intelligence gathering by the use of our cybercrime and additional forensic capabilities. There has been.
Now I'll tell you something, Paul and listeners. The information coming from the Commissioner of Police is solid, and it's important. But her presentation, she needs to work on it. Her body language is all wrong. Why is she holding the phone in her hand while she holding the microphone in the other hand? I couldn't understand that. Somebody needs to point these things out to her. She probably needs to stand at a podium and put her hands on it and relax herself and speak. Because the information, as I said, is important.
There are some people who suffer from anxiety. And in high-stakes situation, because in that room would have been the Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, the Chief Secretary, and some members of the media. In some situations, they get anxious, and I believe she's one of them. Because you're right, the information, even in the JSC on when was it? Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Sorry,
Monday.
On Monday. She has all the information in front of her. You understand? She knows what we're going to ask because the Secretariat from the Parliament send them the terms of reference of the particular inquiry, what they highlighted, the topics are that we will want information on, so they get a chance to prepare. And I'm sure she goes through with her team rehearsal as to you will handle this part, you will handle this part, I will handle this part. So when I ask a question like, she says there was a 15% reduction in overall violent crime. Fine, I just say, can you disaggregate that into murders, And then she starts to fumble through papers. It's an anxiety response.
Yes.
Because she has the information and she knows this thing. She clearly knows this stuff. Yes. You understand?
Yes.
But some people get very anxious in public speaking scenarios. And yes, you can be trained. I found she was better in the GSC this time around. You understand? And she was calmer and more comfortable. But yesterday now, in that thing, that presentation was, it doesn't impart confidence.
Yes.
You look like a frightened child, like you are ready to run out of the room.
And the swaying and the hand
and the swaying and and all you need to be trained.
Yes.
I don't know what other language you just need to be trained. That's all.
As I said,
and if you are the Commissioner of Police, it sends a particular message not only to the wider public but to the criminal element. That whether or not you are competent, this person either knows what she's doing or doesn't know what she's doing.
I'll tell you something, and people who've watched it could bear me out on this. There are some people who need to stand at a podium and keep their hands on the podium and speak from that position. Don't hold a mic. Dr. Rowley sways a lot too, when he is not at a podium, I don't know if people have noticed that he kicks his foot out and he sways a lot too, There are some people who need to stand at a podium and speak.
The difference with Dr. Rowley, Wendell, is Dr. Rowley is able to crunch huge amounts of information from several different areas into cohesive sentences.
Yes.
He's just extremely good at, he clearly has an excellent memory, and he's able to crunch huge amounts of information and put them out in whatever way he wants. So I guess it comes one with experience and two, a level of intellect.
Yes.
Body
language means a lot when you disseminate.
More than, depending on what book you read, more than 70% of information people get in communication is from non-verbal cues.
Yes.
Body language is critical in sending the information in a comfortable, confident, competent manner. So You know?
Yeah.
And
And
then
that's
some
easy
of them
to
on the chat
fix.
now, we mustn't talk about this, right? Because we must just let it pass. Really,
Yeah.
really, madam.
But we're doing
This-
it. We're doing it with the intention to help. We're not doing it.
and in my opinion, I said, what didn't I say? I think she knew the information.
Yes. But we said the
But
information that
don't
came
say
out from
anything.
her
Oh my
was
God,
solid.
how dare we comment on it? You think there's any way saying it?
I would
Social media went wild yesterday after she finished.
I would ignore anybody who comes with that kind of
It's like
critique.
nonsense responses.
No.
Dare not comment.
All them
Knee-jerk response, you know. Oh, watch it. We are cop haters now.
yeah.
Nonsense. These, according to Daily Now, these sycophants.
Yeah. Oh God, don't do that.
Irritating. Anyway,
Don't do that.
they seem to have discussed a plan in Tobago, and we will hope for the best. You know.
Well, Dr. Rowley made an important statement yesterday that points to community policing per se. He made the comment that there was a time, and as far as he's aware, all the police officers in Tobago knew everybody. You understand? So clearly people know who these people are. And they agreed yesterday. I mean, he said it, Martin George said it, that these criminals are homegrown. Because a lot of people feel it's Trinidad. They are homegrown. So they are known to the people in Tobago. You can't hide in Tobago. Everybody know everybody. So
Good
they
morning,
can fix
little
that
cousin.
problem.
Morning to who?
Little cousin.
Lauren.
You calling my name?
No, but seriously, they need to fix it and fix it fast, because I was talking to a partner yesterday, and he was saying, when we go to Tobago, we walk out the road and you walk through the back streets of Tobago any hour. You're not afraid.
Well,
That's
I
how
said that
Tobago has
yesterday.
always been. You walk the streets of Tobago without fear. You know, and now
I venture to say I don't think that it is going to continue much longer in Tobago, because it's a smaller jurisdiction and easier to manage.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
So
have
I
gotten
think
to this stage,
well, it shouldn't have gotten to this, but I think the presence of the Prime Minister and the basically the national security apparatus holding that National Security Council meeting in Tobago will send a message. It's up to them to make good on the announcements made yesterday also.
Who's the head of the police in Tobago? Who's currently that head?
Something Collis.
Hollis?
ASP Collis.
I know
forget his
Hazel,
name.
Collis Hazel.
Hazel Collis or Collis.
I know him.
Yeah. And yes, David, it was good to see the collegial spirit between the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary yesterday. And that kind of professional, even though you may be political adversaries, there are some things you need to put aside the politics for in the interest of the people. And I got that impression yesterday, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
There's some things, questions asked of the Prime Minister, he deferred to Mr. Augustine, and they seem to have had a productive morning. So those things always bode well.
And I'll tell you something.
The phone lines, please.
Yeah, while you wait on the call, press conferences with the Prime Minister, people need to be mindful. He is going to call on you if a question comes his way that you should and he did that with the commissioner yesterday. I don't know if you saw that. When he said, this is a question for the commissioner, and he called her up to answer. Well, she must have felt the faint.
Well, no, I mean, anytime they ask for questions on operational issues, he'd be foolish to answer that, because he's not in charge of police service.
No, but he doesn't just say, I can't answer that. He actually calls and the person to answer.
Yeah, because they're there.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Let's have this call. Good morning.
Yeah. Pleasant morning, Steve Khan. How are you doing, Steve Khan?
Not bad at all. How are you going?
Wendell.
Morning. Mr.
Morning,
Patrick.
Mr. Patrick.
I always talking about cricket. When I watching no football, by good football going on, by
Me ain't no big football fan, but I'm following it.
Spain play yesterday, big match, boy.
Yeah, that was
My team got knocked out yesterday in France. France got licked yesterday, so I done.
Oh God, boy, good football, boy, good football.
it is good
No.
football.
With Sister Ula Christopher, she name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Commissioner.
You're here with Christopher.
Miss Christopher is a very introvert woman. She have a different personality to me, you, and all of them. Right? We more aggressive. We could explain. We could talk.
Mr. Patrick,
she never,
if you stand and have a one-on-one conversation with Mrs. Christopher, this is a normal conversation. She doesn't seem nervous in a one-on-one. I stood talking to her after yesterday, and she was very normal and conversational. You know, it is when she feels the cameras are on her, and it's a high-stakes situation.
When it comes to public speaking now, some people that be very shy and nervous, and she's one of them. Nice.
I think because she feels she's being judged.
I now listen to the Ministry of Health. They will put a fine at $3,500 for people who are land and water and all that kind of thing. The place. That's $55,000. People have some lots of land like that, forest, alligator, and duck and coconut. And we have an outbreak of what? The virus? Dengue? And a lot of people are cleaning the property.
You know how much money the state could make right now from people if they go and find them? Because it have a lot of people have the property in a mess. I
want to say publicly, it have a lot of land next to my mother's house. Daniel Chase, Malabar River, number 7, Daniel Chase, Malabar River.
Hey.
I talked to the borough about it.
Call the Ministry of Health. Don't put it out here.
No, everybody was here. I talked to the borough about
Right. Hey, Mr. Patrick, Israel.
Yeah, I say the gate have a lock. So they can't go in.
Mr. Patrick, call the police address, yes.
Yes. But Paul, I would do that.
Mr. Patrick, you can call the Ministry of Health hotlines, okay?
We call them twice, the borough.
And then come? Okay, all right.
They say the gate have a lock, and the lady asked me if it's a hazard. I said, but if mosquito and cat and rat and pig live in it.
I may stand corrected, but I think public health inspectors have the right to enter premises if they feel is a threat.
They do.
To public health.
They do.
Exactly. I want to have a lock.
So I go in around my house now and see if I have any water in the drum, any plants, anything I get it and everything, because I don't want to. I get dengue idea. That is not a nice thing.
Yeah, Mr. Patrick, I do it all the time because I have plant pots also. I do it all the time.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
One more time. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Listening to you guys. God bless. Senator Paul, I take it that you're a member of the Joint Select Committee on National Security. And I mean, if you are, I don't think it's really professional or ethical for you to be on your radio to decide to come like that. I've never heard of in this anywhere. I mean, she has a tough fight on her hands, and I think we should be giving her words of encouragement. I mean, yes, we all know she's blundering, but to be exposing her like that as a member of the Joint Select Committee on National Security, I don't think it doesn't sound right to me. I mean, that's my view, and I respect your opinion about the whole thing. God bless. Have a great day.
Take care.
All right. Good morning.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Wendell, I wanted to ask these questions when you on, because I know you are, I don't want to use well-informed referencing matters of the PNM. I had a reason to contact my counselor yesterday, and she said, "Well, I was only be in office on Wednesdays," and I was reminded, wait a minute. what about this local government reform that there was mentoring and campaigning on and talking about making councillors a permanent job and so that they wouldn't have to be work? And my councillor is a qualified lawyer, so I would imagine she to earn a decent income, she can't depend on that counseling job because it doesn't pay well and it doesn't, it's just not worth her time. However, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM government, when the local government election time was coming around, every time it comes around, they want the mantra and wave around this thing about what they're going to do for councillors. What has happened with that since the local government election time? While you think about that, Paul, I want to remind us, Richard mentioned it last week, and I want to remind us, it wasn't just said, it was said on the Hansard in Parliament, and everybody thumped the desk more than 5 years ago, that there will no longer be declaration.
Is Lincoln?
Yes, it is, Paul.
Lincoln, boy, I was in the local government special select committee. I can't talk on that neither.
But if Lincoln,
no longer declaration. Hold on, let me ask the second question before I forget. There will be no longer declaration, and there's a lot more things I want to remind the country of.
The full law has not yet been proclaimed, and that is the issue with councillors going to full-time positions and getting a different remuneration package and all of that, which we spoke about, which people were concerned about when local government election, all this hullabaloo, you're right, about change and reform, and a lot of it is yet to be operationalized, a lot of the law is yet to be passed, and you're right. But you made a point there that I have a concern about. And the point is, I understand your point about the councillor being an attorney at law. And it is not worth her while. If you did not think you were going to get a comparable remuneration package and it's not going to be worth your while, why offer yourself?
Good question. Good question.
You understand? If you, and in a reasonable sense, even if the packages were improved, good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys.
By the reform when it's fully proclaimed and operationalized, and you don't think that the package is going to be comparable to what you make as an attorney at law, and it probably won't be. Why offer yourself?
Maybe they were duped because they felt that it was.
No. I don't think that's a fair assessment. I think any attorney knows how much they make and how much they're likely to get as a counsellor, even if it's increased. And Wendell and Richard and everybody here asked that question. How do you know if you want to offer yourself if you don't know how much you're going to get?
Yeah.
Mm.
I said enough. I said enough on local government. I used the word hoax to describe it, and I can't say anymore. There's nothing more for me to say about local government.
My problem is the citizen, and you used a good word this morning, Paul, and I'm glad that you used it. The sycophants that stands there every 3 or 4 years and clap and cheer when they be the same bugle every 4 years and say the same nonsense, and then as the election done, it's done. Nothing else happens with that again until the next election time comes around again. And we say we are smarter now, and we get fooled with the same nonsense every local government election time come around. I want to remind us about the declaration form. That in Parliament, I remember Parliament said there will be no more declaration forms when they're coming back to Trinidad. I just saw circulating on social media several countries, and Trinidad was not on the list, that's doing away with declaration forms. And Trinidad and Tobago is not on the list. I want to remind each country of, I don't know if you remember, well, you all should remember, a beautiful CG, computer graphics, of a port they were going to build in Point Lisa, a ship repair port that they were going to build in Point Lisa. There was also a nice CG. The only people who make money on this thing is the computer graphics company. because nothing has started on those two projects yet. The port in Tobago and the ship repair port in Point Lisas. That was it Point Lisas or Point 14? One of those other areas, they were supposed to do a ship repair port that had a nice presentation that during the hurricane season, all the ships could come to Trinidad and do the repairs and the big presentation, and everybody clap and blow horn and blow bugle for these things that were supposed to happen in Trinidad towards diversity and
I remember when the now Minister of Local Government and Rural Development was transferred. I use the word kindly, from the Attorney General's office and Ministry of Legal Affairs to his local government. It was touted by him because of his great skill to mobilize and operationalize, because he was integral in getting the law, and he was drafted and passed and laddie-daddy-day, do-die-doy.
If I tell you what that
but we can't talk about that because I was on that committee also. So sorry, I can't talk about that.
Now you remember. You now remember Wendell.
Nah, he being sarcastic about something. It's sarcasm, Richard.
I just highlighted a couple of things that comes to my mind. Why I say promises never materialize.
Okay. Well, Lincoln, we always had that problem with implementation.
Thanks,
and
Lincoln.
That's something we have raised with politicians who come before us on this Power Breakfast show.
We asked the Prime Minister directly when he was here last year. He graced us with his presence and we appreciate it. When the law will be fully operationalized, I think he told us first quarter 2024. Am I crazy?
No, you're not.
Okay.
You're crazy, but not on that.
All right. Yeah. But I can't talk about that because I was on the committee.
No, but
the issue of implementation has always been an issue. And I remember when we had that tea break with the Prime Minister, but before he was the Prime Minister, actually, we had that conversation with him in the tea room, Wendell.
Yes.
That the issue of implementation. And you know what drives me crazy, because of the competitive part of me as a Trinidadian, a Trinbagonian, is that the rest of the world doesn't pause. The rest of the world has this. Well, I shouldn't say all of the rest of the world, but there's so many countries that have a kind of energy that they have to compete, and they're moving ahead and changing stuff and making sure things get as efficient as possible, and what doesn't make sense is out the window, and trying stuff. And you don't get the sense that we do that here with any degree of rapidity in terms of those processes, which also makes life easier in a lot of the times for citizens, if you're just looking at that form to come back into Trinidad. How difficult is it to deal with that?
Richard, Paul, see, here was going to upset some people this morning, but I don't care. We can't be serious about local government reform when we put some of the people we've put at the heads of some of these corporations. We could never be serious. End of text. Never. I'll leave it at
right. You have newspapers?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Wendell, you have to give us your poll this morning. I don't want to create no poll because it might intersect with something else I'm doing.
I have the Guardian, so I can do the Guardian.
Very problematic. Just saying. It is Wednesday, the 10th of July, 2024, 6:46. Let's start with the Express. People still doing this foolishness. Grinder meet-up goes awry. Teen assaulted. Malabar police are investigating a report where a 19-year-old man was sexually assaulted and robbed by his house guest in a grinder meet gone awry. I don't know.
His house guest?
More Trini cops.
Well, yeah, that's what
more Trini cops for Sister Isle. Of course, the meeting yesterday of the National Security Council took place in Tobago, headed by the Prime Minister and attended by the Minister of National Security, the Chief Secretary of the Assembly, and the Commissioner of Police and her team. Sad, sad news. Bludgeoned in bed. The body of a penile father and grandfather suspected to have been bludgeoned to death were found on Monday PSA tries to block pension order for Duke. After massacre, Fali calls for aggression. Dengue fear rises, 1 dead, 2 critical. Dr. Rowley says we can fix crime in Tobago. TTPS fails to meet murder mark. Son dead, dad critical. And of course, one of the headlines from yesterday, Bloody Monday. So that's the Express. Richard, you can go ahead with the Guardian, please.
All right, so the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, and of course, just in case you didn't know, today is Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. And the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, and the main headline, Joint Assault on Crime. That's the headline that the Guardian went with. Rowley Farley agree on Tobago plan to fight criminals. And there is a picture of both Mr. Farley and Dr. Rowley standing, well, it's a composite picture. It's not that they're actually standing side by side. Government withdraws 160 million US from HSF. That's also a sub-headline on the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. $3,500 fine as dengue cases surge. And that's it for the front page of the Guardian this morning. Moving on to the back page.
Paul, check your phone.
I was thinking along the same lines.
Yeah, the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Under 21s win opener in qualifiers. Spain advances to Euro final. And Tamara Ramnath turned in another all-round performance, which helped TNT register a 6-wicket win over the Windward Islands in the Cricket West Indies Rising Stars Women Under-19 competition at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Tarouba. So all of that is on the back page, and that's it for the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian this morning.
Let's move to the news there now. Mixed reactions to call to order anti-crime initiative. The Alsing urges citizens to work together to fight dengue. PSA wants Duke's pension payment order set aside. Court orders compensation for firemen shot in police incident in 2015. Cop sues after alleged assault by senior police officer at police station. NACC give firms tax breaks to support HIV/AIDS programs. Commissioner of Police tells Webster Roy police focusing on Tobago. U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, trains TNT police. Prime Minister urges Tobagonians work with police. And the Commissioner of Police says more police and CCTV cameras for Tobago. The Minister of Public Admin says remote work coming for public servants. I'm trying to keep a straight face when I'm reading that.
Local government reform coming, is that what you say?
Gopi Schoon, thanks to Bureau of Standards, consumers getting value from him. But maybe I shouldn't talk about that neither because she's my colleague in the Senate. Those are trending stories in your Express Guardian, and I can't talk about nothing.
She's an next person. She's an next person who struggles in conferences.
For today, Wednesday, the 10th of July, 2024. I think she has some sort of voice impediment. I don't think it's as much.
You think she just not fluent?
No, there's a voice issue. Her voice is crackly sometimes. It's not a fluency issue. It's a voice quality issue.
She comes across nervous too sometimes.
I don't think so.
All right. Now, of course, let's get the results of our morning poll where we asked you yesterday. Do you think the Ministry of Health should declare the dengue situation a public health emergency? 85% said yes. All right. Let's get into this morning's poll.
It's there already.
All right. So our poll this morning, do you expect the crime levels to be reduced following the National Security Council meeting in Tobago? So do you expect the crime levels to be reduced in Tobago following the National Security Council meeting in Tobago? That's our poll this morning. So you can start voting. I know you're anxious to vote on this poll. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866 525-1099. That's absolutely toll free. People on all of our streaming platforms, all of the streaming platforms that you're watching us or listening to us on, you can also send your votes via the messaging portals located there. And of course, if you're watching us on cable,
Trinidad, we're working on that interview.
Yes, I'm going to say the same thing. Your TV words out my mouth. We're working on that. Cheryl Henry, I don't mince words, you know. I've said this about Miss Gopi School before, but that's my real good friend, eh? Trust me, eh? She is my real good friend.
If you're listening to us on smart devices, you can WhatsApp us at 318-1021.
Miss Gopi School is one of those people you could approach anytime, anyhow. She is very affable. Trust me.
Do we have some votes here already? Boy Bedesi says no. Von Drayton says no. Wayne Bennett says no.
Good morning, Zina. Mi amor, ¿cómo estás? I miss you, mi amor. You know when she got there, but she's taught for a week and a half, right?
Excuse me, have some discipline, please. We are taking votes. You interrupted Steve mid-sentence.
Sorry, my apologies.
Oh,
again, available for this morning.
Ron said no.
I realize that.
Let me stay with some more.
When there's encouraging misbehavior.
I didn't get the last one you just said, Steve.
I didn't say it yet.
Okay.
Julia S. Batiste says no. Sunil Ram Samaru says no. Slick Money Grip says no. David Ware says yes. Hanif Daniel says no. Val says no. Somebody says no to the poll. My answer to the poll is no. Cascade St. Anne says no. What says you, caller?
Good morning, to the gentlemen.
Hey, LA, long time. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Dr. Paul. Good morning, Wendell, my friend. How are you doing, sir?
Morning, LA. I'm great, man. I'm great.
My answer to what the poll is yes.
All right.
But then I agree with you and Dr. Paul. The very police commissioner come out in press conference and the way she doesn't inspire confidence. She doesn't inspire
What's wrong with you, Eddie? How can you say something like that?
I just look at
Eddie, you're not on the committee. You could say it.
Yeah, so I mean, Dr. Paul, how you guys doing? I love to understand, man.
All right, stay hydrated. All right, Ellie, thank you.
Is it that hot in LA?
Good morning. It's very hot. Vegas was 48 degrees yesterday. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yeah. It's around the police, but yes.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, New Jersey. My answer is yes.
All right.
What's the weather like in New Jersey?
Yeah.
No, what is the weather like in New Jersey? Paul is asking.
Oh, it's mixed, Paul. It's mixed. You got
not a hot summer, right?
Summer in.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right.
You're heading out there soon.
Yeah, you had the kind of tone, Wendell.
Yes,
There was that undertone.
Duty free will see him soon.
Good morning.
You can tell.
Good morning, gentle people.
Good morning.
Morning.
Dr. Paul Richards, nice to see you, man. And forget about the critics. What's where? I love it until you do it /dot.
No. This is not a popularity contest.
I'll see you out all the time. Remember the chap who spoke to you on the flood in Arima? the Street?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, they fix that place yet, you know. For next year, happening, the whole road, everything gone, you know.
Wow.
And there's a top entertainer who lives at the top of the street.
I mentioned that to you as well. And I want to mention it on the air. You know who the person is.
Mm-hmm.
Studio and everything there.
No. All right.
I show it.
My question to the my answer to the question is no, because hear what? The police need to do their job, and we, the citizens in Trinidad and Tobago, have the police timid because everything is a camera. The police can't do their job peacefully. If the police is to do their job peacefully, you'll see a drastic reduction in crime in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Thank
But
you.
If the police can't do that, son. Have a nice morning, gentlemen.
All right. All the best. All the best. Good morning.
Hi, morning. Morning, honey.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, honey.
Morning,
Morning,
Mrs.
darling.
R.
Morning. You see that instant smile goes on his face. Steve, good morning.
Don't worry. Your competition from Bernadette.
I don't know who's Bernadette.
You don't need to know. She knows him.
Well, it doesn't matter. Our love is so strong.
All right.
Anyhow, a special good morning to Richard, and my answer is yes to the phone. Good morning, CJ. Morning, Zena.
All righty. Thank you.
I used to think
Beefy
strong love
Smith out
meant
in
something at
Goodwood,
one time.
Tobago says yes. Anthony Tinto says no. Ian Lee in the UK says no. Marsha Thomas in Tobago says yes.
Marsha in
DL
Tobago.
says yes. Gregory Bauer says yes. Cheryl Henry says no. Michael Robinson in Yokohama, Japan says no. CJ in New York, okay. Miss Ingrid says no. Wayne Joseph in Ontario, Canada says yes. Alistair Hart says yes. Gloria Gray says, Paul, it's very hot. Ronald Pearce says no. Let's see.
Michael Oliver.
I was checking WhatsApp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Michael Oliver says no. Carol Guevara says no. Cynthia Ramsharoop says no. All right, let's take one more call before I go to news. Okay. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, morning, darling.
Mi amor,
Buenos días, mi amor. Buenos días.
muy bien.
Steve, we need to go for news.
I miss you.
Thank you, thank you, CJ, for waking me up. But I just,
Your voice is a soothing balm over my body this morning.
Saying at a stone, but I go vote this morning. Yes.
Yeah, she sound like the opposition leader. Don't vote. Mrs. Posadi.
You want to get upset with you now.
Kamla Posadi said, don't vote.
News is next.
Let's just grab the couple of votes coming in here. Rena Bodu Jennings says no. CJ says yes. Marsha Thomas just said yes. Roger. Okay. All right. Let's get into our major news. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
THA Chief Secretary says he wants crime talks held on Tuesday turned into action. Tobago gets additional officers in the fight against crime. Government doing groundwork to ensure Tobago has a second layer of police coverage. And Hurricane Beryl destroys crops in Jamaica, leaving islanders facing food shortages. Details in a moment. This is News to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel Bab. Good morning. Solid and based on data is how Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Farley Augustine, described plans discussed at the National Security Council meeting led by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Tuesday in the Sister Isle. However, he wants to see talks relating to the fight against crime in Tobago now move into action to make inroads against criminal activity. Augustine said that he was satisfied with the plans discussed on Tuesday, and now it's about executing what was deliberated upon in spite of challenges that will be a significant mileage. He said it was a proactive move and not waiting until the situation worsens to try and make intervention. The THA Chief Secretary said with tourism being a key source of bringing income to the Sister Isle, staying on top of things in the area is critical. Augustine made the remarks during a news briefing held after the meeting of the National Security Council on Tuesday.
The plans we have discussed, they're all solid plans, they are grounded in data, they are scientific in nature, and once we are able to execute them with the resources we have, chances are we will see a significant reduction. Certainly for the second half of the year, we really will want to make an effort to reduce the numbers in comparison to the first half of the year. We have already gone past last year's figure.
Additional police officers have been allocated to Tobago to help ensure law and order and address violent crime. This has been done with increased officers who operate in the Interagency Task Force, as well as the Guard and Emergency Branch now present on the Sister Isle. Commissioner of Police Earl Hayward Christopher explained that some officers have also been exposed to training in areas such as intelligence gathering and investigations.
Proactively, what I would have done as commissioner, I would have deployed additional resources of the GEB and the IATF, and that was to create and to facilitate a frontal approach against the criminal elements. Additionally, as of yesterday, I would have sent another group of officers to provide training to the frontline officers.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the government is still interested in providing a second layer of policing for Tobago under the THA Act. He believes this move will help lessen the burden on the National Police. The concept was initially put forward by the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. On Tuesday, Dr. Rowley was questioned by a reporter at a news briefing following the National Security Council meeting for an update on the matter. He said the concept is engaging the attention of the Attorney General, who is reviewing the legislation. Dr. Rowley said it is not a question of establishing a second police force for Tobago, but a local policing effort that will take from the current police population certain duties which will allow the National Police to do more. He admitted the move is a complex one and requires a different kind of approach when compared to what was done in Trinidad under the municipal arrangement.
There was a little more complexity in doing it with Tobago because of the Tobago House of Assembly Act. Tobago is the only municipality, if you call that, excuse me, Chief Secretary, that has the Tobago House of Assembly Act in place. So the law to do that is a little different to the one in Trinidad. So when we did it in Trinidad, you couldn't have automatically do it. But we are going to do it, and we'll give it some priority.
The Prime Minister remains confident the move, when completed, will be able to bring additional benefits to the country.
So when you get that policing here, they will take over some of the jobs that are now being done by the main national police, and it will allow us to get better policing, and we'll work alongside the other paramilitary entities, and together a population of 60,000 people, with all that effort, the criminals should not get the better of us.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Jamaicans will contend with food shortages in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, which is estimated to have destroyed over $6.4 million in food crops and supporting infrastructure. Jamaica's Agriculture Minister Floyd Green said preliminary assessments indicate significant damage to crops, including vegetables, tubers such as yam and cassava, and fruits like breadfruit, ackee, mangoes, and bananas, which are popular food sources.
We've seen damages to all crop lines. In fact, we have seen about 85% of our banana and plantain lines go down, and that is important in St. Mary. But when you come to the south, our vegetable lines, everything, our tubers, cassava, we've seen a lot of damages to fruit trees, ackee breadfruit, and unfortunately, significant damages to our greenhouse farmers. Our greenhouse farmers have probably been the most impacted by Hurricane Beryl. A number of them would have lost their structures completely.
Straight into weather news for the period today until midnight. Trinidad and Tobago mainly fair but hazy despite the few brief showery interruptions. Nighttime will be mostly fair with a light breeze. There is a significant concentration of Saharan dust present in the atmosphere. Sensitive persons are being strongly advised to take the necessary precautions. Expected temperature high of 33 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco is 26 degrees Celsius. It is 27 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, THA Chief Secretary says he wants crime talks held on Tuesday turned into action. Tobago gets additional officers in the fight against crime. Government doing groundwork to ensure Tobago has second layer of police coverage, and Hurricane Beryl destroys crops in Jamaica, leaving islanders facing food shortages. I'm Avril Sintilbad. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. As she said, you can join her at 8 o'clock for our news brief. Let's take a look quickly at traffic. I got one accident to tell you. It is by Piarco Lights. It is westbound. A car has flipped, so it is creating some traffic this morning on both directions. But if you're westbound, you got traffic from Maloney, all right? But not too bad. You're going to get some traffic again after Barra Carrier heading into Port of Spain. Monroe Road is a bit busy. Chase Village got it. Rivulet Road. Claxton Bay, you've got some traffic. And leaving San Fernando towards Claxton Bay, you've got some traffic on the highway. All right? Quick one for you. Rightio. As Paul is going to New York, Frontier Airlines will make its inaugural flight to Port of Spain, to Piarco International Airport, starting tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. It arrives. Yeah.
Where is the flight coming from?
Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So it's a Puerto Rican route.
Yeah. Of course, you can do your connecting flights after that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Never been to Puerto Rico. Always heard about it.
Oh, been there a few times.
Ah.
Try to avoid it. No, fed up see it. Let's see. Any more votes coming in? CJ New York said yes. Rena Boodoo Jennings said no. No, I did that.
You have to start from
Lester Craigwell says no. And that's the only one extra I have there for you, Rich.
Yeah.
You have anything in WhatsApp?
No.
All right, so a poll this morning. Do you expect the crime levels to be reduced following the National Security Council meeting in Tobago? Of course, Tobago has seen an upsurge in murders, which is highly unusual for Tobago. So do you expect the crime levels to be reduced following the National Security Council meeting in Tobago? We had 39 people voting on the poll this morning. Of the 39, 15 of you said yes, you expected it to be reduced, and 24 of you said no, you do not expect it to be reduced. 15 said yes, 24 said no. So
I think it'll be reduced.
I'm optimistic too. I think
it's going to be reduced. I actually think they're going to make great headway, and that not eliminated it, but reduced.
Yeah.
I think they're obviously making a very serious effort to control that situation because it affects the tourism to the island.
Oh, very much.
And because it's smaller,
even from Trinidadians, I'm not just talking about foreigners.
And because it's smaller, it's easier to surveil and manage. So I think we're going to see some improvement.
Yeah.
I do. So shall we open the phone lines? See if there a guest standing by?
Fuad Khan, remember I said that yesterday. Fuad Khan is our guest this morning.
Great.
Dr. Fuad Khan. Yeah, he has surgery starting at 8 this morning. We do have a call. Good morning.
I think if they switch around the police and the Tobago police here and send some Trinidad and police over there, I think it will make a difference because it's too close to comfort with some of those police officers.
But actually,
Everybody
that
know
is
is
part of the
friends.
proposal, you know, Ms. Sampson, to send
Uh,
some Trinidad police across. That is part of the proposal.
but how would that work? They go every day with the ferry, or they go once every other day or something.
You're asking us something that we cannot answer.
Yeah, but the commissioner did say that they're going to meet, they're going to put their heads together now and come up with a plan, and she will inform the public. She did
Yeah,
say
Yeah.
answer that question.
I think it will work. I think it will work. Steve, I want to say something to Avril. I tell her I like her natural look.
All right, I'm sure
All
she'll
right.
appreciate that.
Thank
Alistair
you.
Hart said she looks lovely this morning too. I will
Speaking of
compliments
natural
coming
look,
in.
good morning to you, Dr. Fuad Khan. How you doing?
Morning, gentlemen. Morning. How things going with you all?
Not bad, You're not good. bad. That's a very nice natural look you have there. Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Khan.
Morning.
You in scrubs already?
Yeah. From this interview, he's going straight into somebody and use a knife and slice them up.
One time.
He could actually be operating on them right now. Modern technology. He could be right now on the computer doing it. Good morning, Dr. Khan. How are you?
Morning. How are you doing?
Good.
Well,
A couple of things.
Let me ask you a question before we get into the issue. Do they do transplants here?
What type? Yeah, they do, of course, transplant kidneys,
Well, I'm
transplant
not going to say. I
cornea.
was going to start with kidneys and so on. We do that here, right?
Yeah, of course.
Corneal transplants.
Yes. You don't do big transplants like liver and bowel and them kind of things, and cardiac, but they do them things around on the part of the world.
See, there's a part you want to replace Steve.
What's that?
There's a part you want to replace Steve or transplant.
No.
There's a part you're seeking to have transplanted.
I briefed through an article yesterday where a gentleman that was given a kidney transplant from a pig. He died.
Yeah, because the immune levels could cause rejection.
Mm-hmm.
But those are
Sorry, Dr. Khan. You Dr. Khan?
I'm here.
Yeah, his service is not the greatest.
All right. You're back now, yes. You're saying about the reject your body would reject it.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of immune drugs they have to use, and it causes other immune suppression elsewhere. So you could end up putting up a pig kidney in, but die from pneumonia.
Okay.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dr. Khan, let's start. I know we're going to talk about dengue, but let's start with your impression of the PAHO NICU report that was recently made public. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when I looked at the report, I looked at the deficiencies that they have identified. What it showed is that procedures and protocols need to be upgraded. And there is a lot of small niggling parts of it that could contribute to sepsis if not handled correctly. However, a lot of NICU problems occur in that manner because of protocols and procedures. The other thing I looked at, when I saw initially when the hype of the deaths was on the media, and you would have looked at the parents with the children, with the babies, you notice that none of them had on masks, none had on gloves. They may have had a surgical cap on, but they're not, as I say, having the correct PPEs, protective gears, when handling the babies. So it's a lot of things that need to be done stringently that people tend to take for granted, even the doctors and nurses. And
Who on the ward is responsible for those standards?
What's that?
Who on the ward is responsible for those standards being upkept and those procedures being maintained?
The actual people who work in the situation and infection control committee, they're responsible to maintain that level of standards. They're the ones responsible.
Are we speaking about nurses here?
No, there are certain positions, because there was a position of somebody who was suspended, I think, the infectious administrator. I can't remember the person's name, but there was, in terms of the person, I think responsible for that.
That person was rehired afterwards.
I know.
Yeah. The thing about it is a complete breakdown of simple procedures and protocols that everybody took for granted because they didn't have a backlash. Babies tend to be in the NICU who are extremely compromised to start with. You have to go all out, even 150%, making sure that the procedures and protocols do not contribute to sepsis. And sepsis is one of the major problems with NICU babies. And I think that the people in the NICU could have done better based on simple procedures, and it's called standard operating procedures, SOPs. And if you don't, now I go back to something else. Audit systems, which I tried to introduce when I was minister, which is medical, surgical, and audit systems. You audit yourselves. That would have picked up all these deficiencies. But unfortunately, in developed countries, there are audit systems. As I say, every day standard operating procedures. But in Trinidad, we need to put that in place so you could, as they say, look at yourself and the systems that you put in place so you can do better in the future. And I think that is lacking in our system.
But it's not surprising, the Dr. Khan, because by its very nature, a NICU ward is a neonatal intensive care unit. These human beings are born premature. They are extremely vulnerable, as you said, to infections and other complications. And one would imagine that there's a particular focus being placed on any ICU unit, whether it be NICU or adult.
No, exactly what you're saying is correct. If we had an audit system where every complication or every death was looked at with a magnifying eye, with a magnifying glass, as they say, and see what procedures and protocols was deficient, we would have been in a better place. But people die in this country by means of complications, surgical, medical, etc. And there's no proper audit system to see whether the treatment that was given was appropriate or not appropriate. So at the end of the day, the audit system, would have picked up deficiencies in the system. And it's time that they introduce that now, as heavy as it may be, to look at complications and that
To be
protocols.
fair, when you look at the whole report, the NICU part seem to have, I think it's 20 to 30% rating, but there are other parts that receive some high ratings in the 70s and 80s, other departments.
Which is good, but 70s and 80s is not great. You want 90s and 100 in a NICU. You don't want 50%. You want high in an intensive care unit where you have serious susceptibility. 60% is not good. You want 90 and 100 or 99. So so yes, it's good looking at it, but it's not an exam paper you're writing. It's sepsis you're looking at. So you have to be 100% efficient. If you're not 100% efficient, you have to aim for that.
Very interesting. Should there have been an alarm bell that went off? How many babies died in all, but in the confined period? Because I know they started to stretch it out for some ridiculous periods before. But in the specific period, how many babies eventually died?
Babies die in NICU all the time, and those things supposed to be alarm bells ringing every time a baby dies. Not just waiting for this sensationalism. Babies die all the time because they're susceptible and they're very vulnerable. Every single baby that died previously and now coming on the whole system of approach should be looked at with a critical eye, not trying to attack anybody. The system and its operating procedures of what has been used in the system has to be critically examined. but not saying, not trying to brush anything under the carpet. That is the only way you're going to get excellence.
It's unfortunate. Condolences against the parents. Let's move now. I mean, we have a rainy season every year, changing gears, and we have an issue every year that we know mosquito-borne diseases are going to become more prevalent. Dengue is malaria one. I think malaria is one. We didn't have a malaria problem for a while, but in particular, dengue, because of the diseases borne by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Since I'm in primary school, I hear about Aedes aegypti, so we know it long time. Why does it seem like every year this seems to catch us by surprise sometimes? Not every year, but often.
Well, it's a simple case of lack of performance in the regional health authority, not the regional, the regional corporations, where they don't take it on board when the dry season occurs, and also in the insect vector system that that the performance is not great. And if you waiting for explosion of dengue or Zika or chikungunya or malaria or whatever it is, and then act, you have dropped the ball. For everybody, always say floods, and we have to have drainage. What kills mosquitoes and mosquito larvae? We have to look at the life cycle. Is running water, no stagnant water, no things in your yard. But nobody pays attention when there's no rain. Only when rain comes and mosquitoes start to bite and infections start to take place, everybody throws their hand up in the air and said, "Oh God, I'm going to find this one. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do that one," and then it dies. When 2 or 3 people die from dengue hemorrhagic fever, we should have been expecting dengue hemorrhagic fever because it has cycles of every 3 to 4 years. We did not have it for 2 to 3 years, but it's going to be a cycle. It's going to be a increase this certain times. You have to act proactively. Now, I was talking to one of my colleagues, and they were saying that Shagonosboro don't have any defoggers, none. So at the end of the day, they can't defog anywhere and kill no mosquitoes in stagnant water, in lands, etc. Now, didn't they know that before? Is the regional corporation so deficient and inefficient that they cannot look at these things? We have to look now at who we are hiring, who we are voting in, whether they are performing or they're not performing. And at the end of the day, some heads have to roll. But then we have an industrial court in Trinidad and Tobago that makes sure heads don't roll. And the thing about it, that is why we end up with dengue, we end up with all the different negatives and the deaths, etc., because of our own doing.
I want to take this opportunity though to at least give my experience with Port of Spain Corporation because of the amount of years I spent there and the proactiveness of the public health officials at that particular corporation. Because if you notice, we've never had reports of dengue coming out of the city of Port of Spain because they are pretty proactive. Not that we don't have problems there, because a lot of the problems lie, of course, with the homes, with people not cleaning up around their homes, and with all these empty lots. We have an endless empty lots in the city of Port of Spain. You know what I mean? But I just thought I should put that in there for the public health officials in the city of Port of Spain for how proactive they've been over the
I
years.
think we need more insect vector personnel, the workers that go into the lands, look around, put the larvicidal pellets, and also make sure that they can write a report and say these. A long time they used to have people come into your houses and they had these pads. I don't see that happening again.
I don't see that much again.
It happens
No.
in the city still. It happens in the city
I haven't
still.
seen that happening in a while in a river.
And you would sign and say, okay, place needs this, place needs that, guttering, whatever. But we need more personnel to go house to house. In the same way that you have, if you have that, people will be more stringent. But if there's nothing there, people are going to just sit back and wait until the next epidemic.
Yeah.
Are there groups in the society demographics that are more susceptible to dengue? Is it the normal elderly persons with compromised immunity, or is everybody as susceptible?
Everybody has a problem. It could hit anybody, anytime, anywhere. There's no susceptibility for anyone really. It's not an immune thing because it's a virus. Yes, you could have immunity to it if you've had dengue before. You may have cells to fight it. But dengue hemorrhagic fever is a different strain. and you could die from it. Where platelets drop, you bleed to death, you bleed from all your organs in your body, and because of low platelet count. And as I'm at it, do not use aspirin and aspirin type drugs if you think you may have dengue. Don't do that. Panadols and, as I say, paracetamol drugs are what you're supposed to use. Nothing NSAIDs.
Yeah. Dr. Khan, as a spin off of that question that Paul just asked, because this is how I feel. I feel mosquitoes like me and they don't like other people who are around me. Like I am more prone to being bitten by a mosquito than some other people. Do we have does such a thing exist?
People have said that the secretions that you exude depends on the sugar levels that you exude, depends on what kind of secretions that you exude, attracts mosquitoes. Some people, how they eat and how they maybe what they don't eat does not attract near mosquito as much. But there's no hard and fast scientific proven formula for that.
Okay, so my secretions might be the problem.
Yes, something is possible what you're eating or whatever you're
He's a sweet man.
In your sweat.
He's a sweet man.
I think so too.
That is why. And just to be clear, dengue is different to dengue fever is different to dengue hemorrhagic fever.
Dengue is a normal, basically viral illness. Dengue hemorrhagic fever is when your platelets drop as a result of the dengue virus. And
what are the differences in symptomology?
Yeah, the symptomology is basically the same.
So if you get fever, headache, pain behind your eyes, joint pain, body aches.
It's what we used to call it breakbone fever. It's a feel as though your whole body breaking up. Back pains, leg pains, eyeball pains, and vomiting, nausea. And if you have nosebleeds or if you have gum bleeding, that is extremely serious because that means to say your platelets have dropped to the level that you can't clot and you're bleeding. You have to run to the hospital as fast as possible. You may have to get platelet transfusions.
So taking aspirin will start your blood even more and make you worse.
No, taking aspirin and aspirin type drugs, which is the NSAIDs, will cause the platelets not to clot. It blocks clotting.
Okay.
When it thins the blood, aspirin thins the blood, it also stops clotting, and you could bleed to death because of aspirin. And aspirin
and Panadol is what you're saying is the preferred
drugs. Aminoacetylphen. I don't want to use no trade names. Those are the ones basically that you use.
Okay.
We had a caller earlier in the week that said that there was an interview with one of the teenagers. There was a teenager who died from dengue, and the caller to our program referenced that the parent, in talking about it, said that she was administered Motrin. Would Motrin be something that would have an adverse effect?
Motrin is an adverse effect. That is an NSAID.
Right, because they were saying that they found that curious. That why would the medical personnel, whoever it was, have administered Motrin?
Motrin is an NSAID, and it can cause bleeding too.
Right.
The Ministry of Health, the Minister of Health, has indicated yesterday via a news interview on CNC3 that the ministry plans to start charging people whose premises are found to be breeding grounds, I think $3,500. But and yes, people need to take personal responsibility. Let me start with that, okay? So nobody just jump down the throat. People need to go around the house and empty containers with stagnant water as much as possible. But there are some situations where I think the regional corporations have a role to play, as I've seen for decades growing up in this country. I would see them coming around defogging early in the morning. I would see them coming around handing out the pellets. What should the state be doing at this point in addition to encouraging personal responsibility?
The state has to increase the insect vector personnel, public health inspectors, the insect vector, start handing out the same larvicidal pellets, start looking at fogging the area, be a little more proactive in not only empty lots, in wrong people's houses. Because the Aedes aegypti mosquito could fly a certain distance to bite you. So I think it's about 200 meters or something like that. I can't remember. But there needs to be more of a campaign of education You need to have people go into the houses, increase your personnel, your insect vector personnel, even maybe temporary for this period of time, the rainy season, and have people going door to door. But then again, in our crime climate, you have to be very careful how these things are occurring. Because going door to door nowadays, not like long time, when people was allowed into your house because they found insect vector. Now, you don't even abandoned comment. So we're in a catch-22 situation.
Do agricultural supplies to us stock those pillars that people can actually buy?
Say it again?
Do agricultural supply stores stock those pillars that people can actually buy if they'll get it?
I was looking at it. I was trying to find out. I called a couple of stores and they did not really stock it. So and I was looking on Amazon and I saw mosquito pellets. I was going to buy some to put around my house also. But it would be nice if the agricultural stores would carry it so we could buy it in-house.
Yeah.
But
They do
remember,
actually,
these are toxic chemicals, huh? So you have to be handled properly.
Yeah. So tell me something, Dr. Khan, the issue of, it just occurred to me that you have so many hiking groups in the country that go through trails and forests and stuff like that. Are they at additional risk in addition to how much of a risk is an empty plot of land, but that is just grown like a mini forest, similar to where people are walking through?
In the forest, water is collected in the plants, in the grass. Remember, in certain pockets of grass, and mosquitoes breed in those pockets, and they will be susceptible based on the life cycle of the mosquito, and they are susceptible for anything that mosquito-borne illnesses. But remember, they use citronella oil, they use sprays, they use everything else to ward mosquitoes off. So they take precautions.
Okay.
I actually.
It's stagnant water that breeds the mosquito larvae anyway.
Yes, stagnant water. Only stagnant water. Now, a lot of stagnant water is found in plants around your house, in the saucer at the bottom of your plant, where you throw water in and the water collects. Where rain falls, there are certain plants that look like a funnel, that where water gets into it and you don't really see it, you have to empty the water. You could throw your larvicidal pellets in that or throw chlorine or empty the water. But basically, wrong old tires, buckets, pans, anything that has stagnant water for a period of time, you are going to get larvae. Now, the mosquito life cycle is such that they lay their eggs in the dry season, and when the rain comes, the eggs hatch. So that is what you have to look at.
There's actually a citronella plant that people could put up in. It's like a weed. It's like bush.
Yeah, you could use citronella plants.
Yes,
And,
I have one.
And they tend to ward off the mosquitoes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Never
So
at
the end of the day, it's people's responsibilities.
Yes. Yes, you have to. Especially if you live in Arima, like with bush. You know, Arima was described as bush.
You have to make it, as I say, a fear factor on a campaign. Like any advertisement is emotional campaign. You have to indicate to people death and dying from bleeding to death if you don't clean your yard. I know it's hard, but this is the kind of fear factor you have to promote. Fining somebody too early and saying if you don't clean your yard, we'll fine you. You have to push more the fear factor. People might say how much they go find me. They will come and find me. But if you show them your children could die, you could die, and show them pictures of people bleeding to death as a result of dengue, bet your people will want to clean their yard and their office.
Yeah. Can I ask you an offbeat question? I know you're a urologist and not a neurologist. But what do you think of Joe Biden?
I don't think about Joe Biden because I'm a Trump fan. I've always come up from Trump since 2016.
I remember.
So you didn't see the performance in the debate and have no opinions on what people are suggesting about his cognitive ability?
Well, no, he didn't know what, as Trump said, he does not know what he's saying. He don't know what he's saying.
Why am I not surprised?
You look for that one, Paul.
Dr. Khan, go and get ready for your surgery. Thank you this morning. I appreciate
No, but
it.
you can, Paul, you can ask him the other question. What do you think about Donald Trump?
What do you think about Donald Trump then? Donald Trump off me too?
With all his
No, but
charges.
Donald Trump is what we older men call a man's man, not a sin.
So you ain't worry about his obesity, but you worry about woman obesity.
No, Donald Trump fat. But what do you think? What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, but
Dr.
Khan, go and do your surgery. Go and do your surgery. You're going down the rabbit hole. Go and do your surgery.
Understand something? I don't look at man, I look at woman.
Okay, all right. So the man can stay fat, but the woman can't stay fat.
Exactly where I concern.
All right, doctor. Go and do your surgery. Go and do your surgery. Thanks for being with us this morning.
I know. Take care.
All right, Dr. Thank you. All the best to you.
Oh, God, Father, Lord. That's why you have to like Dr. Khan, He really do business.
You do.
He do business. He do business. I would like him. He's still here to say. I didn't want to go down the UNC route with him this morning because he have a surgery coming up.
Yeah, I want to have
that. I didn't want to start him this morning like that. His views are quite well known. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, let's open the phone lines.
He's a very good doctor,
I want to tell the folks who listen or watching this program now, immediately following this program, go around your yard and clean it up. Empty those containers. Because I have plans to that also have those side of funnel leaves that collect water. I check them all the time. Trust me. Because there are 2 lots opposite me that the compound maintained, but like they were sold. So like the people who buy them ain't care. If you see bush. Ever see bush for the first time in how many years? Bush like crazy. Mosquito like mad in my yard.
All right. We do have some calls coming through. So good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
It's fortunate that I get through. I was listening to Dr. Kana, and I want to give him credit. The reason why I called about a week ago, I called on this, not this particular program, but this station, to indicate that I thought that Minister Singh was missing the point a bit because he was talking about cleaning drains and what have you. And from a public health standpoint, data shows that 85% of the control is achieved through source reduction, which is what Dr. Khan was saying, growing your yard and what have you. And a popular caller called in and contradicted what I was saying and said that he would put out containers to collect water and then he would check to see if it are eggs and turn them over and what have you. And that debate has been going on for a week on that particular show. And I do think that the presenter, not that I'm complaining per se, but I do think he did it justice because to me it's a simple thing. And Dr. Khan, while he made a few errors, he generally covered what needs to be covered. And I noticed that the Minister of Health came back and started to talk about source reduction. It's a fairly simple approach. And I think we should really, as a population, I listen to Wendell, really get out there and just do this thing and sustain it. Because if you could reduce the amount of infected premises to less than 5 out of every 100, which is 5%, then dengue fever, spread diseases don't spread. So
what's interesting about it, I'm sure you grew up in this country, and when the rainy season was coming around, you'd have seen public awareness campaigns start to tell people the rainy season is coming. Look around your yard to move away, to remove derelict equipment, appliances, containers. The rainy season is coming. Start to make sure that your yard is ready to not to breed mosquitoes, didn't you? And then you start, when the rainy season actually starts, you start to see the defoggers and the public health officials coming around. I haven't seen any of that.
The thing is that, from my perspective, they should have even gone back further than that because this dengue thing has been in the air for over the last 2 or 3 years, where it's easy to map the spread of the mosquito. And once the mosquito goes there and it could survive, so it's sort of spreading from Latin America coming north. It came from Asia and it's spreading north, all into Florida. And depending on where it goes, it might spread up a different disease, because in Florida they're not spreading only dengue, but they're spreading Lyme disease and certain other diseases.
And Zika.
So that it's a serious thing. And finally, because I'll continue to call and try to educate the population as best as I could. Dr. Khan spoke about EBAIT granules, the granules that they put down. That is not marketed to the public. The granules that you see these vector control workers using is imported specifically for that, because one of the things is when the standard of the quality of the EBAIT granules dropped, it would create problems with the breeding in the water. So you want to maintain at a particular standard. I think it's 4% efficacy or something like that. But you find those on the market that people bring in, and some would come in, they fall below that, and therefore they give the organism, the mosquito, a chance to sort of develop a kind of immunity to it. So that is where it's at. And it's a lot of legislation that we could enforce. But
Paula, I know that you have an intimate knowledge of this. Would chlorine also work? Could Dr. Khan also raise the issue of chlorine?
Chlorine in water?
Which might be easily available for people more than the granules.
No, chlorine wouldn't work. When you're putting things on the water, other than something that would affect the larva and the pupa chemically, what you want to do is create, you want to eliminate the surface tension on the water. So if you put a little bit of cooking oil or a little bit of pitch oil, if it's not for uses that, like say stagnant in an area in a yard, you could throw a little bit of pitch oil on it or a little bit of coconut oil, and it would spread over the surface over time. And when the mosquito comes to the top to breed, because they must come to the top with a siphon to breed, they are unable to breed and therefore they die. So generally, if water is stagnant and difficult to come out of where it is, you could just throw a little bit of oil on it.
Okay.
A variety of oils would, but not chlorine. Chlorine is ineffective.
That's good information. Thank you.
But normal chlorine, I don't think that is the approach. Just go in the kitchen, take down your coconut oil, throw a little bit, or you have some pitch oil, throw it, a little diesel, them kind of. The lighter it is, the more likely it is to spread over the surface.
Okay.
But, I will
Thank
continue
you.
to call because I can't take the misinformation.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calls. All my lines are lit up. Good morning, caller. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Well, actually, I want to charge $3,500 to the public who keep the surrounding and sound clean. But I am calling from Bigger Martin, and it's 1 year and 5 months. I've been complaining about the drain along Sinusian Road, and it's backing up into my yard and in front of my house. 1 year, 5 months. And you know the story is, they have no gully sucker. So what is going on?
That's a very good point, caller. So what about the state and empty lots, which I guess if they're owned by somebody, they could be culpable. But there are drains in some areas that are backed up and holding stagnant water that ordinary citizens have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's what's happening to me. I have to constantly put in this drain outside everything to prevent these things. The water is not flowing out.
But a gully sucker would be needed in a drain like that. A gully sucker is for like an underground drain. You're talking about a normal box drain
That's
from
what the
behind you?
corporation is telling me. That's what the corporation is telling me. So I don't understand why this is excluded.
I don't know why they wait till the rainy season to know there's going to be a problem and then they start cleaning it.
But that's the Jacob Martin Borough Council, and they're borough now.
Yeah, they're borrowing.
Yeah.
Borrow, like they want need some borrowing because they ain't have tenants and nothing.
All right.
All right.
A gully sucker won't help you, sir. So if somebody telling you they're waiting on a gully sucker, then you'll wait in vain.
Yeah.
A gully sucker can't help you with a box drain behind your house.
Good morning.
And now come Borough have a better library than a Raymond. I'm watching.
Yeah, morning.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning to all. So I kind of joined late, but I was just hearing the ending up of Mr. Khan, Dr. Khan contribution or interview. I don't know if he told us which strain is affecting the country right now and by and large Latin America. Did he tell us the strain?
Strain of what, the mosquito?
Yes.
The Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Okay, well, there are 4 levels in terms of the mosquito, and number 2 is what is affecting the Caribbean right now. So 2, in terms of where that is concerned, number 2 is what is affecting us. There's a level 1 to 4. and number two, in terms of that is what is affecting us right now. What I also want to find out, what I also want to talk about, because I was listening to a couple doctors. What they are saying is that the regional corporation should be the sole responsibility in terms of spraying for these mosquitoes, because what you can have is indiscriminate spraying. I listened to Mr. Khan, and what he sort of contradicting what they are saying, because he's saying that they want to be able to create a fear factor into persons to get them moving to understand how dangerous these mosquitoes are. Now the question is, while person can go to the garden shop and spray, I guess there have to be some mutual communication between you and your neighbor. Because you don't want to go and pick up Malantine and try it and where you get in the agri shops. And they are throughout Trinidad and Tobago. You load a spray can or a mist blower and you go and spray willy-nilly. You didn't tell your neighbor, so your neighbor can't take precautions in terms of this is a high sensitive. Although most of them are green label, they are low on the pesticide chart. They can smell. So you don't want to go and do that and not tell your neighbor. So I think there needs to be some level of planning where that is concerned. If you know you're going to do spraying, at least surprise your neighbor to let your neighbor know that you'll be doing spraying so they can take necessary precautions, open up the windows, let the place be ventilated, and so forth. So there has to be a collective responsibility in terms of how to go about it and not going and doing it indiscriminately, too willy-nilly. So these pesticides, they are available in terms of the garden shops, as I pointed out. What I also want to say, I have noticed in my area, since we have just been this level of infestation, there isn't any fumigating done by the corporation. And I have been told, actually I could pinpoint a couple articles from the dailies that point to Penal Baby Regional Corporation, and I think in Central, there's I think it's Topic Staff Regional Corporation, and I think Shokoans. They are saying that they do not have funds to do the spraying. And I find that to be quite obscene. And if you don't have funds to do spraying, then you have to convene a meeting with the line minister being the Minister of Rural Development, together with the Minister of Health, where you have that vision. And you have to come up with a plausible solution to get spraying going with some level of alacrity. Moreover, I want to point out, if the Met Service is telling us that we are going to have a harsh dry season, gentlemen, shouldn't we be proactive to know that mosquitoes will be laying eggs like crazy? And of course, when the rain falls, they're going to hatch.
Yeah.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We should be proactive. We should be the Met Office already told us we would have had a harsh dry season. So there must be some level of proactiveness when we are dealing with these issues and in terms of how we ought to treat it. Now, as I told you, I joined late, and there are certain medications I sure the doctor would have went through with that with persons, like aspirin and other medications that you're not supposed to be taking if you suspect to have dengue.
Yeah, he did talk about that. He did talk about that.
Right. It is also noteworthy to know that an individual, just like COVID, you can be like you were asymptomatic, you can have dengue and you cannot know that you have dengue. So that is also, and what is interesting in terms of the numbers that I gather from another doctor, roughly what we are seeing in terms of persons going to these hospitals and being bombarded is 5% of the population would go to the hospitals, what we are seeing here. So that is when your platelets level are dropping. So I want to tell people, yes, we know you could ask your neighbor if you are feeling well. You know the popol is good. We know it's good. But it is important and imperative that you go and get the test. You go and get the test for dengue, and once you get that test for dengue, you will know if you have dengue, if you have fever, if you have symptoms of fever, etc. Don't go and ask your neighbor, I could take a bush medicine, I could take a bush this, I could replenish with water.
Yeah.
Yes, and all
All right.
things. It is very important to go and get tested.
Thank
so that
you.
you will know if you have dengue. Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
All right, buddy. All the best to you. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Wendell, they need to close down the Ministry of Health office. That office don't work in San Fernando at all. 5 years now, I complaining about a bin over a box drain where the neighbor fling the baby pampers from the front door straight over. I don't know why his bin not in front on his side. It's over the road. And the lady talking about red tape. What red tape? I told her I could pay a piper $5 to move the bin. They don't work in those offices. I am next door to an abandoned building, and I reported it. They came by my gate. I said, that my house is that house. Nothing has been done. The gate has no lock on it. It swings left and right. Right now, the roof halfway off, so mosquito down inside of there. I dealing with mosquito, cat, rat, bat, frogs, and everything else. Nobody don't care.
And birds. Don't forget the birds that bother you in the morning.
Oh, God, well, don't talk for them. I'm looking for a solution for those birds. Oh, God. When it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you talk about noise. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. But as Ms. Sampson, that won't be a Ministry of Health problem per se. The borough your city corporation, San Fernando City Corporation. Who's your councillor there, by the way?
I've been asking you that for the length of time I'm living here. You
No,
only
but I can't know. You are know you in the area?
You only see people every 5 years. The last person passed here was Mr. Alwari. They say it's Mr. Nigam, and I don't see Mr. Nigam. All he talks about is Springville Paradise, and apparently my street didn't fall into that.
So Nigam Joseph is your councillor. Nigam is your councillor.
So they say.
All right. So anybody listening and know Nigam personally, I don't know him personally, but I know who he is. Tell Nigam to go and deal with these issues that Miss Sampson keep having. She can't be here every morning worrying about bats and cats and rats and birds and what else, Miss Sampson? Cricket and frog.
Miss Sampson. Good morning, Miss Sampson. You hear me? What you need to do is go to the gym and pump up your biceps and do some arm wrestling, you know, get some action.
I thought about joining the gym, but I thought about all the them sweat.
You need to get more biceps. Yes, get response when you have biceps.
You ought to come to a gym down in Tongue, trust me, to find that muscle. Forget them gym in South. You ain't gonna find him there.
It's true. So
I know exactly what to send you, but I can't expose him on radio.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Is it possible for you all to put something in place like, I think it's Barbados, where you charge people if they're not taking care of their property? Maybe that might whip
Miss
Trinidad.
Sampson, that already in place. Public health have the authority to cite people and charge them. There is a charge rate.
But everybody
Public health already have that authority.
Working. You need a guard. Trinidadians is getting paid, but they are not doing their job.
Yes, that's true.
Some people.
That's true.
All right, Miss Robinson, thank you.
I'm not finished, Steve.
Oh, go ahead.
The litter act. People flinging things all over the place. Nobody don't get charged for that.
Well, there's nothing worse than a dirty pamper being flung at you. And you say your neighbor flinging the dirty pampers across the road?
Yes, done on the front of my neighbor house. Yes, he's been not in front of his house, in front of the neighbor house. And everything falling inside the box drain. I sent photos for the Ministry of Health and they didn't do anything about it. Nothing.
It just sounds like your councillor need to pay you a personal visit and treat with some of the situations you have. I'm feeling it for you. Sorry. If you were in the city in my day, trust me, your problems would have been fixed long time.
Wendell,
You know how long she is from with bat and cat and rat and that?
For COVID, the wall still there falling. Nobody attended yet, you know.
I really feel sorry for you.
And nobody does anything here. The street lights, I get it. The homes on the street I get it. Lights in the shortcut, I get it. I can't do anything more. The guy who used to help me out, he died. Nobody do anything. I just call the street the forgotten street of San Fernando. That's the thing.
What's the name of the street?
Warden Street, the beginning of Sumar Garden going up.
Is a posh area, Miss Sampson living in, and there's no rundown area. But the people running it down because of their attitude.
And not only that, there's only inheritors on my street. There's only 2 persons, Bill, myself, and another person. And you know when you get things free, you ain't give a damn.
You ain't give a damn. That's true.
Yeah.
And to help with the neighbors.
Exactly. Right. The only person you see cleaning up outside is myself and somebody else. If CFF don't pass in front, the gaps don't clean. That's the attitude they have. They get it free and they don't care. That's the thing. You all have a nice day.
All right, Miss Sampson. Take care. Now, Miss Sampson has been complaining ever since ever since about these
Yes,
issues.
yes.
Are clearly local issues.
All local. Good morning.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Morning.
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 Hey, Carol again.
Richard,
Yeah.
I was so happy that you brought up the subject of the young girl that passed in Hyderabad, I think it is. With
Over the Motrin.
Right, but what I want to know is if nobody else is taking note of that or asking a question, the relatives.
But the relatives are the ones who the relatives are the ones who are going to action it. The Ministry of Health is not going to action anything. So if it is that she was prescribed negative medicine in terms of dengue, to me there is something that needs to be answered by the Ministry of Health.
Exactly. And then again, sometimes I'm not saying this is the case. Maybe the relatives weren't aware. Maybe I don't want to say illiterate. I don't want to say that, but maybe they just didn't know. But it's being brought to the fore, and somebody should take note of it and do something and have something done.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I, as a layperson, know you're not supposed to administer those kind of drugs, anything with aspirin, ibuprofen, with dengue. And I mean, it was a superior health facility, it was a doctor. Something is so wrong there. Anyway. Oh, Richard, I have a compliment for you, since the last time I saw you. I have to compliment you on your skin. You have such beautiful skin. I want to know what is your daily
There is an app.
regimen to have that beautiful complexion.
There's an app, sweetheart.
Yes. Say again?
There's an app.
There's an app for that?
Yeah, you press the button, you increase your smoothness of your skin and thing, yeah. Touch up, it's called touch up. Mm-hmm.
No. I saw Richard in person. There's no
Thank you. Thank you. I was just waiting for you to actually, their misinformation and their insults and attacks. I just wanted you to say that it was in person, and thank you very much.
But the app does work when you come off camera too.
Carol, if you slept in a crypt, your skin will look like that too?
It will.
I'm not going there early this morning, no?
No.
Guys, have a wonderful day.
You all have a great day. Be safe out there.
Of course, theaters on this weekend, people. Love is a Walk is on at Napa. One show only, and it is the final show on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Get your tickets at the Napa box office, which opens from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily, as well as all of our usual outlets, K-Squared Fashions, West Mall, East Gates in Trinity, and of course in Brentwood Mall in Chagonas, Electronics Arima, Jubilee Rawi in Tunapuna, Sharpler Auto Services in Sharpler, and of course Antoni's Florals in Valpark Shopping Plaza. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do. Remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
All right, folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. Bye-bye.